Kirsty and Shirlene, I just thought I would show you what the Lascar app looks like on the phone, and then I will also send you a link to how it looks on the web browser on an ordinary computer. But here on my iPhone, I'll connect to my home Lascar units and show you what it looks like. So we can see the app here, Easy Log Cloud. If I select that, um, I'll go back to the start. If I pick my new or favorites down here, I can see that at my home I have uh, inside the house and outside the house. A couple of things on this screen. We can see the strength of the Wi-Fi connection between the Lascar unit and your network. And we can also see whereabouts in the cycle the sampling is taken, because you can set the loggers to sample at any period that you like. Let's, for example, have a look at my outside temperature. So here's your live, well, semi-live information, depending upon how the uploads are set. We can see that we're fairly early in the sampling cycle. We can see that the temperature is currently 14.6. The units we're talking about will not have humidity on them. It's just the temperature. And over the last 45 days, we can see the minimum and the maximum. Now, if I select the graph, it becomes rather complex because this is 45 days with two parameters. But then if I reduce that right down to, say, from the 6th of the 12th to the 10th of the 12th today, if we ignore the blue, which is humidity, we can see the temperature graph there. Now, one other thing I forgot to mention, one can make that graph less complex by turning your phone into landscape mode, and now 45 days looks much more reasonable. But again, if we shorten that right down to, there's the 8th of the 12th to today, the 10th of the 12th, we can see much more data available to us spread across a larger screen. Now, if we return to our main screen, and we select one of those probes, we can do a bit more granular dive down. Let's select outside, for example, and we can see temperature and humidity. As mentioned, yours will show temperature only. If I hit the settings button down here on the bottom right, we can see a number of things. We can name the device whatever you wish. So, for example, you could put a branch in there if you were monitoring it from a central location. We can rename the probes and set them in different Celsius or Fahrenheit. We can do things like sample rate. So, for example, at my place, I've set this to 10 minutes of sampling, and that can be set anything from 10 seconds up to really whatever you want. But because mine is on battery power and not on mains, I've set that to 10 minutes to maximize that. We've got alarm settings that I can set for each channel. And we have the ability for email alerts if there are problems, either with the alarm will trigger that, or with loss of power, battery, connection, etc. PC is more powerful, and you can do more things with it. And I'll just quickly show you that. If I go to the Lascar Cloud login, and I'll log into my account, my email address and password. Now, of course, you could have a number. You'd have a number of these, perhaps by branch or perhaps all over, so that management might better log in and look at particular offices remotely if they so chose. So there's the home page. I've got two devices that are fine. I've got no alarms triggered at the moment. I've got no power warnings, and I've got no device warnings. If I click on devices, I can see my two devices at home. And again, if I select the outside logger, I can click on the graphing, and on a bigger screen, of course, it's much easier to see. On the left here, we've got the parameters that we want to view. If we untick humidity and untick dew point, because you won't have those on yours anyway, now 45 days looks a whole lot more simple to see. And there's two ways now to make that more granular. One can either drag that slider along and do it manually, or perhaps what would be more likely would be you can put a start day and time in here, so that if you're wanting to produce a report for the branch. So for example, let's say we want to start from yesterday morning, so the 9th of December at make that 6 a.m. till end time today, 10th of December, and we can set that, well, that's the current time. So we can see quite a small and easily read graph. So we can see at 6 o'clock yesterday morning, we had a low of 15, and we can move the cursor and see individual points on that graph up till now, where it's again back to 15 degrees. Now we can export that and do things with it. So if I click on the ellipsis selection here, we can select a summary, a table, or we can export to a CSV, which is probably the easiest thing to do because you've then got it in Excel. So if I click export, and I don't want all the data, I just want the data between those dates, and let's export it as a CSV so that the Excel will read it. You'll see in the bottom left hand corner I have a CSV file, which if I click on it, Excel opens, and now I have a complete table in which I have date and timestamps, temperature, humidity. Well, in my case, I've got temperature, humidity, and dew point. Yours will just have temperature. And you would also have a notification if there were any alarms showing there as well. And of course, once you're in Excel, you can do all sorts of things. You can create your own graphs if you want a different style. So it becomes completely easy for you to do and create your own graph.